April 8th, 2019. JimboJohnGalt.com, at JimboJohnGalt on Twitter. Where we are today, same old, same old. The Mueller report, the libs, the leftists are still lying about it, saying that Orange Man bad, collusion in order to cover up what the libs, Hillary Clinton, Barack Hussein Obama, what they did to overthrow a duly elected president. They're making Bill Barr a enemy after all these years of being part of the establishment. Now they're saying that because he came out and gave an honest assessment of the Mueller report, that he must be bad, that he must be conflicted. Trump got to him in some way. The Democratic 2020 candidates are announcing they're all bowing down to the socialist agenda, kissing the ring of all people. Al Sharpton at the National Action Network, talking about how they are all for reparations, every other socialist agenda. The 2020 candidates so far of any note: Bobby Frank O'Rourke, better known as Beto, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Bernie Sanders, of course, the one that got this all started, being openly socialist, Pocahontas Liz Warren, and the just unpalatable Kirsten Gillibrand. Of course, Ocasio-Cortez, the bartender, she isn't old enough to run for president. Otherwise, she definitely would. She continues to make drunk dialing types of YouTube videos, talking nonsense. But again, the establishment media, the corporate media, just let her go and speak as if what she says is the truth without any pushback. The Muslim women in Congress, Ilhan Omar, however you say her name, and the other one making anti-Semitic statements and getting away with it. After they make their anti-Semitic statements, Congress is supposed to censure them, but they don't. They make it amorphous, as if all of these bad statements that anybody ever at any time would make would be bad, without directly calling out them for their statements, which is typical. We need more government because capitalism failed. Capitalism is failing. It's unfair. So we need more government interference. We need more control of you and your life. Trump, Orange Man bad. They are still missing the point that our tangerine Jesus has come down from above and dropped mercifully into our lives to help take back our own independence. Illegals are now preferred by the leftist leaders, by the judges, by Pelosi, the leader, the Speaker of the House. She openly decries how Trump is bad for not having any concern for citizens of another country that are illegally entering into our country, stealing our money through our tax dollars and our social services. The government media actors / performers continue with their fake news, with their fake faces showing utter concern for the plight of those demonized by the evil Donald J. Trump. Government intrusion / interference is the problem. The establishment blames free market capitalism on all of the ills. The real problem is that we have corporatism. We have politicians that are bought and paid for by corporate interests, whether it's individual billionaires or the leaders, the lobbyists of these companies, from the oil companies, drug companies, food companies, you name it. Anybody that's big enough, has enough money, that wants to keep out their competition or to keep the regulations off of them. Facebook, all of the social medias, Instagram owned by Facebook, Google, Amazon, which brings us to the fake news of the week. 60 Minutes with Bill Whitaker, a really good actor playing the role of news correspondent. He interviews Ray Dalio, who is an $18 billion man, owns or runs Bridgewater Associates out in Connecticut. A true rags to riches story. He started off as a caddy, worked his way up, had some ups and downs, learned some things. At the beginning of this segment on 60 Minutes, he has his multi-million-dollar, I wouldn't call it a yacht, it's a sea vessel with multiple submarines on it. And they open it up after saying that he's this quirky professor, all knowledgeable, rags to riches.
Ray Dalio bears little resemblance to any Wall Street shark. He's more like a quirky professor.
So everything that he does must be given this unqualified goodness to it. Everything that he says, because he made this money, he knows all, and that we should all follow his lead. They show this real interesting, cool-looking globe-style submarine, and they're going down. And at one point in the story, they're down there, and he starts talking about the imbalance in the coral, and that's a metaphor for our economy. When we have this imbalance in the economy, something has to come in and nudge it.
As we went deeper, the ocean became barren. The coral once here was gone, a symptom of nature out of balance, and Dalio says a metaphor for what's happened to economic opportunity.
If I come down here and I see the coral reefs are dying and the population is dying, I know that we're out of balance.
This Dalio, to restore balance, it means that the corporatist crony capitalist has to get in and control it through taxation. Dalio's already made his billions of dollars. He's got enough money at $18 billion net worth at 5%. He's going to be getting $900 million per year, which is free money. What Dalio wants to do is start taxing people today. And what he says is, we just need to spend those tax dollars more wisely, which is your socialist excuse as to why socialism doesn't start. Socialism, corporatism, it's all the same in that now he's rich, he wants to control the rest of society with the plans that he wants that he gets to make up because he's rich. Hey guys, look at me. I've made so much money. I must be a genius at everything.
Should taxes on people like you be raised?
Of course.
You say, of course.
Of course. One way or another, the important thing is to take those tax dollars and make them productive.
Cutting taxes on people like you will promote productivity.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me, any sense at all.
So it's got to be through taxation.
Yes.
He says that the only way to redistribute, to make everything fair, is to tax. Tax is the only thing that makes it fair. Then he has this condescending face. Am I saying something controversial?
Am I saying something that's controversial?
Yes, what you're saying is controversial because never in the history of man has government interference worked out better than true free market capitalism. Letting the free market determine the best use of any asset, whether it's money or crops or any machinery within the economic model. Government never does a better job. He says that it has to be done through taxes and that it just has to be spent more wisely, which is the economic model of the leftist, of the establishment politician. We just haven't done it big enough. We haven't done it right. We haven't had the right people in charge to do it the right way. He thinks that if you give your hard-earned tax dollars to the government, filtered through them, they take their cut. It's estimated that up to 50% of every dollar that you give in taxes, 50% of it gets spent on the government function. He thinks, as a businessman, it is unbelievable that he believes this, but what he states is that it's the only way to make it fair. The only way that is truly fair is to let the economic model of capitalism, where you invest your hard-earned dollars, your savings, into different business proposals that you think, that you determine what risk factor is big or small. That's the way the economy works, not by some bureaucrat on high deciding which investment, which program, which class of people gets to be the favored and get the benefit. Dalio talks about redistributing opportunities. It's not about redistributing anything. It's about you pulling yourself up by the bootstraps, and this is sacrilege to say in this politically correct world, but that's the way it is. I don't care if you come from the streets of Detroit or the plush trust fund world. You all have the same opportunity to follow your dreams. Nobody is redistributing anything. It is the free market of opportunities to use your personal abilities, your personal strengths to the best of your ability, the ability to fail or to succeed. He's a big fan of crony capitalism. He got a $22 million tax break from Connecticut for his Bridgewater Associates. Talk about hypocrisy.
It's not redistributing opportunity. We can call it a wealth gap, you can call it an income gap. And so I think that if I was the President of the United States, or it has to come from the top, what I would do is recognize that this is a national emergency.
He wrote a book called Principles, which are legitimate principles for how to run a business and how to run your life. It is true. It's survival of the fittest. Ray Dalio runs his organization, Bridgewater Associates, as a true meritocracy. He has high turnover, over 30% in the last 18 months, he says. If you can't kick it, you get kicked. You can't handle the stress you can't perform, you get asked to leave. In other words, you fail out. And that's the way this country should be.
You go, certain percentage are not going to make it, and that's the way it is.
Let's just remember what is going on here. What we have is a multi-billionaire that has a certain philosophy of life where he practices what he preaches only to the extent of when he's talking about his business, but then he turns around and expects everybody else to follow the governmental creed of do what I say, not as I do. And I can appreciate the subtlety which 60 Minutes, again, the propaganda network, the propaganda show, the longest running propaganda show, they have this billionaire on here. They're talking about the economy and they conflate it with climate change. Remember, they opened the show with the coral reef that was out of balance. Government is going to come in and restore balance and order from the top through taxation. What is that really? What that is control. You need to give up more control of your daily living to us, the unelected bureaucrats. They conflate, not so subtly, climate change with the economy. We must nudge, the government must control, the government must fix. The whole time, they can't fix anything. They've created the problem. Now they come in and they say, no, it's been messed up. It's been messed up by those greedy capitalists. So we need to come in here and put more regulations on. It's all about power and control. Look at what Obamacare did to the individual. Look at the companies that got extremely wealthy. The insurance companies, the lobbyists, the elected officials that take in so much money in their campaign coffers. And once they get in there, they become multimillionaires. Once they get elected and they become the powerful politician, they demonize the rich. They demonize the rich, usually Republican capitalists. They blame those people that are the economic engine that allows these sycophants, these rent seekers, to be in the powerful position that they are. They are the rent seekers that hurt our economy and they hurt our society, because when they demonize the supposed rich people, they are the ones that get attacked. Instead of the politicians, they demonize the capitalist engine, the producers, in order to gain more control from the 50% that pays no taxes. And once they do that, they get more and more control under the democratic system, what is defined as a true democracy, the majority vote, the 51% that our founding fathers warned us against. Unfortunately, that's what we have today. 51% is voting to take from the 5% of producers in this country. We're at the point where Dalio in this interview is talking about when there's an economic downturn, we're going to have conflict. You're going to have the rich versus the poor, the haves versus the have-nots.
We're at a juncture. We can do it together, or we will do it in conflict. That there will be a conflict between the rich and the poor.
It's not going to be a fight between the rich and the poor. It's going to be a fight between the government bureaucrat, the elected official that lies over and over again, and the voter, and the citizen, and the taxpayer. That's where the conflict is going to be. And that's where it should be, because they're the ones that have been lying to us. Dalio refuses to see what is clearly in front of him. It isn't clear whether or not he knows that he's lying, or that he's been so rich for so long that he can't see the forest for the trees.
In the 30s, for example, you had 4 major countries that were democracies that chose not to be democracies because they wanted leadership to bring order to the conflict.
Oh, that was an arrogant jerk.
All right, that's enough for this week, but I'm going to close it out with Ray Dalio, making him some sort of a hero. He's got this really weird animation figure makeup on that makes him look not human. They have a segment at the end about his donation of $100 million to the school system out in Connecticut, where they track and monitor the performance and behavior of these students.
The program takes a page out of Bridgewater's investing strategies by relying on data to closely follow student performance and behavior.
They mentioned that they've had good success, their definition of success, with an increase of 8% graduation rate. $100 million of his annual income at 5% on that $18 billion net worth is $900 million in 1 year. Him giving $100 million isn't that much. It's about 11%. Again, it's good that he gives, but he tracks the control and the behavior of these students. That's not good. And that's what this entire production has been about, how there is no free lunch. When a leftist gives you something and they act as if it's free, that it's a gift, guess again. You're getting your pocket picked. You are being controlled. More will be revealed in the upcoming weeks and months, days. So check back, JimboJohnGalt.com. Find us on iTunes under Jimbo John Galt. And obviously, we have many different subpages at JimboJohnGalt.com. Come check us out and subscribe. Thank you.